All right. I see we have a few people who have joined. Thank you for joining. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. We'll wait a minute or two for some more people to filter in. We can do some quick introductions in the meantime. But thank you, everybody, for joining Pacer Cadence. I'm Jeff Gavio, Growth Marketing Manager here at Pacer. Also joined by Connor Francis, our Client Success Manager, Kristen Boyko, our Director of Sales, and I believe Rich Mashenik, our founder and CEO, is here. We'll wait, like I said, just a moment or two in case anybody's joining a couple minutes late. But I'll pass it over to Connor as he's going to be driving us today. Most of our conversation today is going to focus on layering baselines in Pacer. It's going to include an explanation of what layering baselines is and how to do it, a live demo to give you some examples and ideas on how you can layer baselines in Pacer. And of course, we'll have Q&A available as well. So if you have a question, you can either use the Q&A function up at the top there to ask your question, or you can use the hand raise function, and I should be able to take you off mute to ask the question, whatever's easier for you. So Connor, I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah, great. Thanks. Let's get started. So today we are going to run through basically setting up a scenario in Pacer where we're gonna open up some McDonald's today. So we're gonna get our subscription ready for that. We're going to do a couple different scenarios in opening because every McDonald's is quite different. So it's a great example to showcase how we can use different baselines to accomplish our goal of opening a new business unit. So the best way to teach you is just by doing it. So we're going to get started by creating our locations. Then we're going to create our project, upload our baselines, and we're going to publish the project. So as Jeff mentioned, if you have any questions along the way, just go ahead, feel free to submit, and we'll answer them as we go. All right, so I'm going to head over to the projects button here, and I'm going to click on View All Projects, just a quick way to get to the admin menu. And I actually need to do a location import of a whole bunch of McDonald's that I just received word that we're opening. So easiest way to do this is to import them. I already downloaded the import tool ahead of time and filled it out. So it's kind of like one of those cooking shows like TV Magic here. So I've got a whole bunch of McDonald's. If you've never seen this before or haven't interacted with the import function, it's really great. Once you set up your values in the system, like your brand types, your areas, countries are given, types, management companies, regions, all of these are customizable drop-down menus you have in your subscription. So I went ahead and filled some out that makes sense for the demo today and filled out my tool here. There are some optional columns that you don't need to set up. But I've got my location names, abbreviations, opening dates. So this is saved. I'll save it one more time. And I'm going to go ahead and import this. So my locations template, there we go. And just like that, now we have a whole bunch of locations in here that have to do with McDonald's. Just to double check, I can see that I have one location that I had on my list, the I-95 rest stop in Wilmington, Delaware. It's all set up in here. So now that I have my locations, I can set up a project since there is a place for my project to go. So we're going to set up a new project using the wizard. So I'll hover over projects and click on add new project. As a reminder here, whatever you name the project, that's how it's going to appear for every location that receives this project. So I don't want to be too specific. I just mentioned that I have like a McDonald's location in Wilmington, Delaware at a rest stop that I'm opening. So it would be silly for me to name this Wilmington, Delaware opening because every other McDonald's that receives this project will receive that and say, that's weird. I'm not in Wilmington, Delaware. So what does this mean? So we'll just keep it pretty generic and just call it McDonald's opening. The description, maybe this is my 2026 rollout. Maybe this is like version 4 concept of these restaurants. So I'll make note of that. people who are administrators and moderators and owners, those user level access roles, they'll be able to see a table of all of our projects, and they'll be able to look at these project descriptions to reference what exactly that means. And we'll choose an owner, and I'll click next. So now my locations exist. I know who is going to have to do this project, so I can actually use this next section to select the teams that I know that will be working on this. If I click on filters, it makes it easier for me to reduce this group to a certain select few, and then I can actually just click the select all to move all of the ones that I'm filtering down over to the right-hand side. So I set up a brand called McDonald's in my account, so that way I can have them all grouped together. Um, we'll show this a little bit more in the demo, but I also want to take this opportunity while on this drawer here that I added a couple tags. Some of my locations have a drive-through, and some of my locations have a play place, so I made sure to be able to tag those appropriately. So now that I've got the brand set up, I'm going to apply that filter. And here they all are. These are only the locations where they share the brand value as McDonald's. Now that I've got that set up, I'm going to select all, and they'll all move over to the right-hand side in my selected value of locations that will receive this project. We can always add more in the future. We can always take some away. And they won't necessarily receive this project immediately, but they're on my list. They're in scope, is what we call it. So I'll move on to the next here. So at this point in time, I can actually decide which tasks are part of my project. Um, I might have some baselines ready to go to import. I might not have them ready just yet. So I can actually like leave this page and sort of come back and do this at another time. And I actually am going to do that right now because there's somewhat of a new feature in our project control hub that I want to show you where you can add baselines at a later time. A lot of people are familiar with the wizard because it's been out for a while, but it's more common that individuals already have their task list ready and they are saying, my project is existing, I just need to add more tasks. So let's jump to that area. So I'm done here. I'm just going to go ahead and click on Save Drafts and exit. If I need to reference this project again, I can head over to the View All Projects page and see my list of projects. You'll notice it doesn't exist here because it's not actually a project that is existing at any locations. So don't fear if you don't see it. I'm just going to click on projects. And I have a few projects here, but I should now see my McDonald's one. I can even favorite this project. And now that I favored it, if I navigate away from this page and come back, this will be the project that loads whenever I click the project button up top, since that was the last project that I marked as a favorite. So in your subscription, you can have quite a bit going on, but it's likely that there's a project that's top of mind for you. So if you go ahead and mark it with that star, then that'll be your default project that loads whenever you click here. You can have multiple favorites. It just happens to be that this is the latest one I clicked. So here we go. So got my naming here. We've got some locations that I added previously, all lined up. They're all in draft. And now I need to go ahead and add my task lists, my baselines. So I'm going to click on this task list tab here, and it's going to show nothing because there are no baselines, and that's what we're going to work on right now. On the right-hand side, there's an add button. It's pretty common in most areas of our application. Whenever you need to add a new value, whether it be, a new value within tags or a new location or a new user, you'll always find this add button in the upper right corner area. So I'll click down on this drop-down menu, and I need to import some tasks. And it's asking me which baseline should this task be added to. Well, I don't have a baseline existing yet, so I need to add a new one. And here's where you can download the import tool. We offer two here. There's two different types. There's the preferred baseline, which is recommended because it's set up to use relative dates. This is what's pretty common. It's our T-minus structure. This means that you'll be given an opportunity to say that all of your tasks should be due a certain number of days prior to opening. Each location gets its own opening date. Or if this isn't an opening, it could just be the zero date of the project. This is great and preferred because when you move your zero date or move your opening date, because these tasks are structured on a T minus, the due dates or target dates of all these tasks will move to be dependent on that project's zero date. So it's relative, it's movable, it's flexible, and it's the best way to use Pacer because it auto calculates all those target dates for you. And most importantly, every location is working on its own timeline. Some of these locations are opening in June of this year. Some of them are opening on May 1st in 3 years. So they all need to sort of have their own, timeline. The other option, which isn't as used as much, but it is available, you can use static dates. So that means that each task is going to be due on a specific calendar day, no matter what. So if Chicago, San Antonio, and Tampa, Florida are all doing an opening, if we provided them a baseline with static dates, no matter where the opening is or when its opening day is, all of the tasks in this baseline will all be due same day across the board. So we'll stick with relative dates. I can click here to download it, or I can just click on this box and move to the next page. And I'm going to go ahead and upload a file. On the bottom left, there's some tips here that you can read through, links to some articles. On the right-hand side, if there are any errors on my baseline import, I'll find them here. And I can also just drag and drop the file. But let me go ahead and select that file from my computer. So I've got this core build. So no matter what type of McDonald's we're building, I've got it set up and it's on a 30-day opening. So I'll import that baseline. And here we go. Looks like I didn't get any errors. So we've got our McDonald's opening. If you notice that when I imported this and I click this drop-down menu, I just said import task to a new baseline. It automatically named my baseline the same name as my project. I could alter this if I wanted to with these buttons here on the right-hand side. I can rename the baseline. I can click on this arrow and expand the tasks. So I've got a whole bunch of tasks here that fit within a 30-day window. It's just the way that I had it set up. Got some additional information. Everything's looking good. But earlier, when I was grabbing some locations to add to scope, I showed you that I have some tags. Some locations have a play place. Some of them have a drive-through. So I actually I'm presented with the opportunity to layer baselines now. So in a project, in the task lists, I can add a whole bunch of anticipated scenarios. So we've got my core tasks. Another anticipated scenario is that a location may have a drive-through. I don't always have to select this baseline to publish to the location, but it's there for me as an option. So let's add it. I have a new baseline I want to add, and it's going to be called drive-through. And I'll go ahead and save that baseline. It won't appear here just yet because there are no tasks that exist on this baseline. I need to bring them into the system. So I'll click on the drop-down menu here, and I'm going to import tasks. And this time, when I'm prompted with which baseline, I can actually select the drive-through baseline that I just created. So there's a place to send these tasks, a place for it to exist. So drive-through. I already preloaded my baseline again here. I'm ready to go. I already filled it out, so I'll just follow the same steps. And in my computer, I have the drive-through baseline. Perfect. That's getting updated. Couple more scenarios I have ready for us. I have another new baseline I'll create that in this particular, or in some of our locations, we have a new offering. It's order kiosks so that individuals can order for themselves. We're all about serving customers faster. So I'll call that order kiosks. I'll create that baseline. And I'm also going to create the one that if the location has a play place, I want to be able to upload tasks there and optionally send that out as well. All right. All my situations exist. I just have to finish adding my tasks. So I'll click this drop down, import. I'll add my order kiosks. Perfect. And I'm going to go ahead and also add the play place tasks. Great. All right, we're all set. So I'm super prepared for any scenario. If one day McDonald's decides to, I don't know, implement, I feel like we've heard about this on the news, like you're going to implement like AI that's going to take your order at the drive-through window. And that's another project that has to, or another set of tasks that needs to happen. It could be its own project. It could be every new build from here on out. We need to make sure that they're accomplishing those tasks. I can always come back to the task list and add another baseline that accomplishes that goal. Or if we're no longer opening McDonald's in a 30-day window, maybe we're given like a 2-month window, I can also update another baseline that fits that time frame. So our tasks would be more spread out. But everything looks good here. I can expand on my tasks, take a look. Um, if I wanted to work on my McDonald's opening task, but I didn't particularly love working in this smaller windowed view, I can come over here to the baseline's name over to the right-hand side. And this button right here, it allows me to expand my tasks. So I'll click it. And now I can work on my baseline for McDonald's opening in a full page view. If you notice here, I've added some milestone tasks. And there's one more thing that I want to do to just set this up. And it's not really in the agenda, but it's become a popular request lately. So I thought it'd be good to bring up on this call. And what it is, it's connecting milestones together as prerequisites. This isn't available in all plans, but let me just go ahead and show you how that works. So I'll switch to a Gantt chart view and I'll press OK. And what I want to do actually is take all of my milestone tasks and connect them to the last task here. So I've set up one dependency and I'm going to set up this other one here and connect it to the last task. This is setting them up in the Gantt chart view. It's really fun and easy to just connect them like that. I can also double click on this line to break that connection. And if your tasks are due very close together, you can also zoom in and that will expand this window so that the tasks are a little bit more spread out. Makes it easier to click and drag on some items. So we're moving fairly steady pace. I'll pause here for a second. Any questions, Jeff, in the chat or anything?
I see no questions right now.
All right, either I'm amazing or everyone walked away from their computer. So I'll click on
Let's go with the
projects
first
here.
one.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so I'm clicking on projects. I'm going to switch over to my McDonald's opening here. Perfect. So we're ready to go. I'm just waiting from the phone call from somebody to say we've got an opening date and we're ready to go. I'm going to publish these and then I want to show you how to work your dashboards for great one-on-one or team like assessments of how these are coming along. So let's do this. I'm ready to send my Columbia, South Carolina, Harrisburg, Irvine, and Katy, Texas. So I could publish all of these at once. And by doing that, I can click apply my bulk actions up here. And I'm choosing 1 0 date. That means that all of these locations would now be sharing the same 0 date. So that's great if that's true. But maybe they all have a different 0 date. You can do that too. It just so happens that I know that all of these locations are going to have the same set of baselines. So I prefer personally to publish them as a group sharing the same zero date. And then after I publish, I'm just going to reorganize the zero dates. So let's do that. Most people will be like Columbia, South Carolina, publish, click, 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 baselines, set the zero date and publish it. And then do the same thing for Harrisburg. Personally, I think it's a bit easier to do this. So I've selected my locations that I know will share the same set of baselines. I'm going to come to this drop down. It's set to publish, click apply. And here's where they're sharing the same values. They are all going to get the core opening tasks. They all have a drive-through. They all have order kiosks and they all have play places. So by clicking 4 times across 4 different locations, that would have been, what is that, 16 clicks? I'm going to save myself the headache. I'll set to Columbia, South Carolina's opening date, which is going to be March 12th, 2027. I have some advanced options here I can expand on too. This is the project owner, probably the regional person or person responsible for this publish. Maybe it's the person at the openings department. And I'm comfortable sending the push down notification to say, hey, you've received a new project at your location. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and publish that. So now Pacer's working, all of these locations, same set of baselines, same zero date. Now I have my step 2, which I just need to change the zero dates so that they match the specific locations. So Harrisburg, come over here to the icon set here. The first one, if I hover, it tells me it's change zero dates. So I'm going to go ahead and set that to the correct zero date for this location. Coming up soon. I'll change the zero date for Irvine, California. Set that zero date. You can also click in the year and choose a different year, different month. Looks good. So by changing my zero date, all of the tasks are changing target dates at that location to be dependent upon this specific zero date. Last one to change is Katy, Texas. Perfect. Go ahead and save that. All right. Looks good. Let's take a peek at the dashboard and see what this looks like. I can head over to company overview. Sorry, company overview, not dashboard. I can see that my project is here because it now exists at locations. And I've got a full scope of work of what's going on here. But I actually want to set up a custom filter where I want to be able to save and say, I want to be able to log in and just check on how are all of my McDonald's locations performing. I'll apply that filter. You can see that I'm only showing that project because that's the only project that exists at these McDonald's locations. I'm interested in seeing this again and again, so I'm actually going to save this current view, call it McDonald's locations. Now, if you notice, I didn't really get too granular and like, well, it's a McDonald's that has this tag. It's just straight through and through all those brand types that I want to reference again. I'll head back to my project. It's now time to do some more publishing. And now, sorry, one more thing I wanted to show you is at the dashboard view, if I go to Katy, Texas, location for McDonald's, as the person responsible for doing this project, I have no idea at this point that the administrative team has given me a McDonald's opening that has 4 different baselines included. I'm just here to just focus on this project called the McDonald's opening based on this opening date, super focused on just this. I can do all of my filtering by department, by discipline, and I can just jump into my task page and just see this project and get going. It is possible as a task doer, as a regular user in the system, I could come to my columns and add the baseline column. This is the only way that I would know, like, oh, okay, look, I have now this column for baseline. Let me move this over here. I can see that this task has to do with a baseline called drive-through. I don't personally think that's going to hinder the performance of them doing these tasks, but they could be made aware of it if they knew to click in this area. But that's the great thing about compiling baselines is I'm not worried about like, oh, what do you mean I'm working on a drive through? Like, no, 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 just don't worry about it. Just do this project. So that's good. I'll head back to projects and go to my McDonald's opening. And it's time to send the Florence, South Carolina, and Wilmington, Delaware locations. Those are actually locations at a rest stop. So they definitely have a drive-through. They definitely need their core tasks, and they for sure have order kiosks with the amount of volume we typically see. But because at these locations, people are generally just grabbing food and going, we're not going to offer a play place here. Maybe it's not part of the management agreement at these interstate locations, but I'll go ahead and set up those baselines. So I don't always have to choose all of the baselines that are there, but I'm set up for any scenario within this project. So I'll send that. And I'll also go ahead and send the Wilmington, Delaware location. My baselines are still here selected. That's great. And I can just choose a different opening date and publish that. Great. So you can see here that I have a baselines assigned column. And if I have a lot of locations opening and many pages here, I can also just click on this drop down and say like, I need to just see the ones that have kiosks. You can even filter in that way as well. Have a few more. These two are airport locations. I have Orlando Airport. They do not have a drive-through. They do have a play place. They do have kiosks, and they do need to do their core baseline. So we'll do an opening date for that one. And we'll do the Chicago Airport as well. Same baselines are selected. Just choose my zero date. And I'm really trying to just set up a whole bunch of scenarios here for you. So that way I want to show you in the company overview page, the different ways that we can sort of analyze this. Great. And Universal Studios. I made a tag actually that says that it's like a private property. So sometimes these locations that exist inside of another entity, there's management agreements. So we just kind of want to keep them separate. They definitely have a core baseline. They have a kiosk, but they don't have a play place. They don't have a drive-through. We're going to choose something here. And I'm just making this up, guys. I don't actually know the rules of McDonald's and how they work, but it was a great example. So we're all set there. All right. So layering baselines. I've got the same goal is happening. We are opening locations, and I'm just doing it a little bit different at every location. And I can still manage the performance even just by baseline. So this is publishing in the background. I can actually leave this page and navigate away, and it'll still publish behind the scenes. When I click company overview, it's pulling the latest saved view that I set, which is McDonald's locations. If I scroll down, you'll see that there are more that exist because even though I set my view up as just McDonald's, it's going to pull every McDonald's that exists. They have different numbers of tasks because some of them have more baselines than others. So I can see everything that's going on in a full scope view. Maybe I want to get a little bit more granular. In my filters, I added a location tag that says, do they have a drive-through? And maybe a location type that says like, is it a rest stop? Is it a private property? Is it at an airport? So I can really like maybe having a one-on-one, I'm saying, all right, well, drive through performance, something's going on. I can apply my filters, and now it's only going to show the locations that set up. I think I just kind of added too many filters. Let me clear. Right, tag drive through. All right. Great. So now only pulling locations that are tagged as such. So when I go to the dashboard page for each location, I recently did Katy, Texas. Now I can go to the I-95 Wilmington, Delaware location. They're working on the same project. different amount of tasks because of a different set of baselines, and we're good there. Any questions so far, Jeff?
Uh, no questions so far. We can keep moving
No.
ahead. Oh,
Yeah.
hold on. Somebody's typing. Let me see if this is a question or just an acknowledgement. One moment. Connor, while the question or comment is coming in, I'll
Yep.
ask kind of a generic question. What's the benefit of layering versus just having like that core baseline include all tasks that, a user could mark as NA if it's something that doesn't apply to them? For example, if they get the drive-through tasks assigned, but the location doesn't have a drive-through, what's the benefit to layering those baselines over each other versus just having the tasks in one core baseline?
Yeah, great question. So to reframe it, instead of having four different baselines set up so that I can choose specific tasks by specific location, if I put all of these onto just one baseline, um, for one, the location at the task page, if I was Wilmington, Delaware, and I received the play place tasks, we didn't add play place to our rest stops. The individuals at this location would constantly have to set not applicable to a whole bunch of tasks. Um, and and it sometimes frustrates our project managers. Some people that I talk to, they say, Connor, I have a problem. What happens is I come to the company overview page and there's just so much yellow, and I don't like seeing yellow, the not applicable value. You don't have to send tasks to locations that don't need them if you put them on a separate baseline. So that I-95 rest stop in Wilmington, Delaware won't even receive those play place tasks because they exist in a different baseline that I didn't select. So they actually won't be having to mark all these tasks as not applicable. And not only that, but like to be completely transparent about billing, if your play place tasks are all due maybe in the last month of the build, you're going to be sitting on all of these tasks that you're paying for in flight, that you're actually at the end of the day just going to end up marking them as not applicable. So you're saving yourself money by not having these if you're on that billing plan that pays by task bundle, and you're saving your team's effort, time, and engagement by not giving them tasks that they don't need, that they're just going to mark as not applicable anyways. So have your team focus on what matters by giving them the tasks that are necessary rather than all this other noise.
Great explanation. Thanks. We actually did get a couple questions in. I'll run through them quickly here. First question, did you go through the baseline task and the dates, such as start date and target date, so that they align? Um, any commentary there? Was that question clear enough?
Yeah, I think what the user might mean, like, did I go to the baseline and sort of like evaluate my target dates of all of my different tasks and make sure that they're in line? Yeah, I mean, I set this demo up and I basically made all my tasks due within a 30-day time frame. Um, it's possible that, oh, not the right project. It's possible that you publish this and maybe this is like your first set of openings and team members are like emailing and calling and they're like, hey, like you're asking me to install the ordering kiosks before I even had the point of sale systems arrive. These tasks are out of order. It happens often that like teams that purchase Pacer and move into Pacer, their organizations are working in such silos. The IT team is over here and they're trying to do their tasks, and the culinary team is over here and they haven't actually talked to each other until they move into a system like Pacer, where they're like, wow, now that all of our tasks are all on the same page, I've learned so much that all of our tasks are basically out of order. Like nothing really is set up in the right flow. And with Pacer, you start to see those gaps and you can start to address them. And as you improve your due dates to be aligned in the right way, then you're going to work smarter, open faster, and more efficiently. How would we see that? So I've had some clients who actually just said, like, let's just go, because obviously we've been opening like this the entire time before Pacer, and we've opened up a few locations, so we can confidently say we sort of know what we're doing. But now I'm realizing some things are out of order. I would have your team get a lot of use out of clicking on a task and giving this feedback to say, like, um, you know, you can choose one of these out of the box responses, and maybe it's a good time that we should add, like, this task is out of order. Maybe that's a good one to add. And we could say, like, dry run, pilot opening. This task needs to happen after, X task. You can submit that as feedback. Um, so when you submit that as feedback, it goes to your support ticket screen, and whoever has access to that, which is admins, moderators, and owners, they can see that feedback. I just got an email on my phone here that feedback has been submitted, so you also get an instant email, and you can go and address that. We found that by publishing the project like this and having all of the department heads active, assigning those tasks to those people, you'll start to see that the people who own those tasks are talking to the other people who own other tasks. We're starting to drive accountability, and our team is starting to work together, provide that feedback, and start to sort that out. Um, Look, we also have, like, I've looked into a lot of AI, and I've asked AI this question a lot. There's definitely some things you can use in tools like AI if your company allows it, but sometimes you kind of just need to get in there and do a pilot and run through it and use the feedback feature to sort this out, because at least with Pacer, you have the opportunity to provide feedback and instantly change these target dates, and that immediately takes effect at all locations, rather than what you were doing before, which is using Excel, hoping it all works out, hoping we make it to that zero date of opening this location and everything worked out. So that's what I've seen people do. That's the feedback that I've received, and, like, tasks are out of order. It happens. It's a pain that I see when implementing the tool, because they didn't have a tool like this before. So with this, we offer the tools an opportunity for you to set it straight. So that's my take on that, and that happens often. It's definitely an onboarding pain from customers.
Great. Three more questions that we could run through pretty quickly. Oh, four more because Rich has his hand up. Let me see. I'm going to take Rich off mute because I think he has a comment.
There we
Hey,
go.
Connor, can you also show that if they're, I can't remember, like an owner or administrator, and they've run into that problem, how they can just quickly from this location just change the date at the baseline, how they can click through to that? I
Oh
don't remember
yeah,
if you have to be an
so
admin or an owner, but I'm thinking like some of these people on the call probably are just have access to the baseline that they can just go ahead and make the change quickly without having to go through their feedback log.
yeah, maybe safety pillars is supposed to happen before print road signage, and I can see that they're 3 days apart, so I have to move this at least 3 days backwards. I can quickly jump to the baseline version of this task, so the templated version of this task, by clicking on the task, clicking show info. I don't think I have it, but I think you have to be an owner. You'll see baseline task ID, just like this says location task ID. And then this number is actually a clickable hyperlink. When you click it, it'll open up a new tab in your browser, and that takes you directly to the baseline version of that task, which I can jump to quickly. So go to McDonald's. That was part of the drive-through. Baseline.
That's fine, Connor. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I
And
don't want, yeah,
basically,
okay.
yeah, and you can just change
You
the date.
showed what I was trying to show.
Yeah,
Great.
perfect.
Next question here. I'll do this one out of order because it's just sort of a straightforward answer. What's the difference between marking a task as inactive versus not applicable?
Oh yeah, great question. So on the tasks page at a location, if I mark the task as inactive, it will delete the task from this location, and then it's gone. Marking as inactive, so also marking as inactive is only an action that an admin or owner can take. Moderators and users don't have the ability to click on a task, come to bulk actions, and mark it as inactive. We don't really want people deleting their tasks. So as an individual at this Wilmington, Delaware McDonald's location, if I feel that this is not applicable, I can mark it as not applicable, and that's tracked. Now the project managers can log in and say, hey, Connor, I can see that you mark this task as not applicable. Why? And we can follow up. There's ownership and trackable ability there that we can follow up. Inactivating is just gone forever.
Great. Next question, and this might be something that you were getting to, Connor. Can you show how you would add a task directly to a baseline in Pacer without using the import tool, like creating a singular task?
Yeah, so I'll hover over projects, click on view all, and I'll click on task templates baselines, and I can just quickly jump to my drive-through baseline, open that up. So maybe I forgot a task. I can go ahead and just click on add baseline task. And what I'm going to do is add a singular additional task. Maybe it's like, a street light needs to be added. I won't even get too specific. I'll just choose, random departments here just to get this going. And I'll choose a target date, and we'll set that up, and I'll save it. When I published this baseline to all of my locations, it only had 5 tasks at that time. Now, I just added a 6th task that says street lights. So this task doesn't exist at all of those locations because it didn't exist at the time that I published the project. So if I needed to add this to every location that currently is working on the drive-through baseline, one more step I need to take is to click on that task. And up in the top right corner, I can go to bulk push down just that one task to the McDonald's project. And it's telling me that these are all of the locations within this project that have this baseline, that if I clicked push down, they would all receive this additional task. So I'll go ahead and do that. And now that task exists.
Great,
down
thanks.
Location level. Yeah.
Last question here, kind of a big ideas question. How do you suggest we improve the baseline creation process? Considering we need to stack baselines, do we need to keep anything in mind that we wouldn't usually consider?
How do we, can you send that one more time?
Yeah, I think it's basically asking like, what should we be thinking about if we're transitioning from like one generic sort of task list to layering baselines? Like, what do you need to keep in mind if you're doing process improvement and planning to start layering baselines when you haven't in the past?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, I think talk to me. I think something that's interesting is we can say like, hey, like you've been working on a one baseline structure. I can tell you that of the 10 locations you opened, 5 of them are always marking this task as not applicable. And that might be something to start with. Like, all right, well, if a lot of people are clicking this task as not applicable, maybe that's something we consider moving off. Something else that might be interesting is like to start small, you may want to create a couple tags in your subscription and then come to the baseline, and you can actually select multiple tasks and say, you know what, I'm going to update attributes and I'm going to add a tag to these tasks called like, I don't know, maybe it's like brand standard. And you might start to group them and say like, okay, I think I have everything in a pretty good order. I've grouped tasks that if I were to break this up into multiple baselines, I think I've got it pretty set up. You can export this baseline and it will include the column of tags. And then you can break this up into multiple import tools and then import each one at a time to its own baseline. And then when you're on the project, the next time you publish this to a location, you actually wouldn't need to select your one baseline for every type. Now that you've added those, you've broken 1 into 4, and you have those 4 in there, you can start to hand select. So basically you can sunset a baseline without having to completely redo in the middle of the process. You'll just say, okay, from every location from January 1 2027 and forward, we're going to do this choose 1, 2, or 3, or 4 of the 4 baselines I have rather than just the one. So it's like a cutoff point. I think that answers your question. If you need more detailed or want to work on this together, I'm definitely here to help.
Great. And we did get one more question as well when you were answering that one. I manually added tasks to a baseline I created using the import tool. I tried marking one as dependent, but nothing appeared in the drop-down menu to select the other task. The same thing happened in reverse, trying to mark this task as a prereq for the first. Why might this not be working? Do you recommend always using the Gantt chart view to relate tasks?
Personally, the Gantt chart view is fun for me. But let's talk through that. So install safety pillars, I'll click on. It's a common issue where people click on this and they click down here and they say, oh, nothing's here. The reason why is you need to actually start typing a word in and then press enter on your keyboard. And then it will populate the tasks that have those character values in the task name. The reason why we do this is if your baseline has 2,000 tasks and you click this drop-down menu, that's quite a lot of tasks that we're going to populate, and you'll do a lot of scrolling. So we sort of make it easier for you to start typing and then press enter on your keyboard so you can just see the ones that you would need. You also have to keep in mind that this little bar here is called successor. So it's only going to pull tasks that are going to be coming like if you're looking for a prerequisite, it's only going to populate tasks that come before or on that day. So you just have to make sure that the tasks you're looking to connect are already in that order of target date sequence that it can be completed. The prerequisite can be completed before the dependency. If you're not typing in there and you're just clicking that drop down, I think that might be the issue you're running into. So just let me know if you knew about the typing and pressing enter. So there's that option. Gantt chart is just really good for visual learners. I like that setup. It can be a little difficult if task A is in the beginning and task B is like way down at the bottom. You can definitely see how that might be frustrating to do in the Gantt chart. Then I would recommend doing it here, right in the task.
Great. We are a couple minutes over the scheduled time. Anything else you wanted to run through as far as the demo, Connor, before
That's it. Yeah,
we keep moving forward?
demo was accomplished and great questions. So thank you.
Great. Okay, yeah, got a comment that the user was missing the typing and hitting enter. So that hopefully that resolves the issue with the task lookup for dependencies. Great. Any other questions before we wrap up? Just as a reminder, everybody who registered will get emailed a copy of the recording of this webinar, so you will be able to refer back to it. And as always, our team is always here to support you if you have further questions in the future.
Awesome. Thanks for joining, everyone.
All right. Thanks for joining, everybody. Have a good day. Take care.
Yeah, take care. Cool.